Okay. All right, welcome in. Good morning. It's the Awesemo Fantasy Football Show on the Awesemo Fantasy channel here as we welcome you in. I know a lot of people piling in from Nick's stream, so thank you first and foremost for that. Here with Nick Lepre, of course. Mike's in the house producing. You probably know him as Awesemo, and Yahoo is powering everything that we're doing today. Nick is doing double duty. He is providing all of your answers for start, sits, anything injury related today, as well as doing his best to not walk off the ledge as his Miami Dolphins are currently on the verge of handing the Jacksonville. Like, is this the Jags' first ever win? Because they're building it up. When's the last time the Jaguars have won outside of what seems to be inevitably today, this morning in London?
It's been like 20 games. I think they're 0-20 in the last 20 games. This is embarrassing. But I don't know.
Tell me you bet your squad today.
Of course I did, baby. Dolphins -2.5. Got to rep them.
My goodness. Well, we'll keep an eye on this, especially for any fantasy implications, because I'm sure that there are people that may have buyer's remorse or maybe looking at it like they made the right move starting anybody in this game. It's not a Thursday night game per se, where it's not completely short and off the radar for maybe some people who are kind of balancing whether or not to play somebody in a short week. At the same time, was there anybody that you looked at in this game, before we look at some injuries and dive right into some start sits, was there anybody that you looked at in this game at all that you felt was in a really good position or simply high up on your rankings? I'm guessing probably someone like James Robinson, but again, I don't know how you looked at your guy coming back in Tua or even Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I was very high on James Robinson. I like him this week a lot, but he hasn't even performed all that well because the Dolphins run defense. I mean, he did score, so right, he's not going to have a bad game, but he didn't perform as well as I thought. But the game's still going on. But Gaskin was a guy I was also really high on. We saw him get 10 catches last week. I was like, you know what, the Dolphins, they can't possibly mess this up, right? They're going to give the ball all the carry. They're going to give the guy all the carries, and then the Dolphins do the opposite of that. It's Salvon Ahmed, Malcolm Brown. It's disgusting. They need to leave half these guys in England if we lose this game. If I'm being completely honest with you, I don't understand it at all. So. It is what it is with Gaskin. I don't think you can ever start him again after this, to be honest. I think that was one strike. It was a huge strike. Swing and a miss. The ball was already in the catcher's mitt. It's over for Gaskin. just never play him again after this. And I won't try to go ahead and talk you guys back into him ever again.
Well, so much of that, though, came when they were just down big, right? And they were just throwing him the football against the Bucs. And maybe it was just some recency bias for people that aren't following the team as close to you that thought, oh, well, he's clearly heavily involved. But yeah, your point stands. I think that this might be a good indication of staying away if you have the opportunity to, right?
Yeah. And Tua just threw a nice pick. He threw it right to the Jacksonville defender. So The game's over. Trevor Lawrence is going to get his first ever win. Over. Second takeaway of the season. Second takeaway of the season. Fewest in the NFL. That's great, Tua.
It's amazing what happens. You miss time, you come back, start rushing some throws, and you have about a buck or so to go in the third, and still a 4-point game. But after that turnover, Nick Lepre is officially calling it. 11:51 a.m. on the East Coast. Nick Lepre is calling this game dead on arrival in London.
Yeah, it's like the election. I've called this game early. The England game is over.
Right. So you don't need like 6 other states. Exactly.
Yeah, the shit's over. This is embarrassing.
Oh my God. They're celebrating in the end zone. London. People have no idea what's going on and they're still cheering. It's amazing. All right.
Yeah.
Let's look at a couple of injuries. I see the chat is already buzzing. Hit that thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed, of course, as well. We'll tell you all about what's happening here with Yahoo. But look, Christian McCaffrey out. Not necessarily. I think people were expecting him to play. So if we look at it from more so Chuba Hubbard and really that backfield, I guess we should start there. But there are a bunch of running backs from Saquon to Nick Chubb. Also, we know that as far as Ezekiel Elliott, he's playing through injury. So maybe that opens something up for a guy like Tony Pollard. Let's start with at least Christian McCaffrey and kind of the fallout there or the trickle down, if you will, in the Carolina backfield?
Yeah, so I love Hubbard this week. I think I was very low on him last week, which is hilarious. And I was very high on Alexander Mattison. They both played well, right? But Hubbard's a guy that I think is genuinely in a situation to succeed every single game with Christian McCaffrey out. It seems like it's just like last year, right? With Mike Davis, how Christian McCaffrey goes down and he's basically in the same exact situation as Christian McCaffrey. Now, obviously, Mike Davis was not as good as Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, Hubbard is not as good as Christian McCaffrey, but you're going to continue to run the ball aggressively with him. So I would go ahead and count him in to potentially be a top 10, maybe even a top 5 running back on the week, if I'm being honest. And then basically anytime McCaffrey's out, you have to just play Hubbard because Royce Freeman is not involved at all, which was kind of my thought process that maybe they would involve him a little bit more since Hubbard's a rookie, but I guess that's wrong. And go ahead and fire up Chuba every week with McCaffrey out now on the IR for 3 weeks.
All right, so I'm trying to match a couple of start sits as we talk about people. And I see right there at the jump, Tyler, 87-71, full PPR, Claypool, Pittman, Tony, Kadarius Tony, or as we just laid out, Hubbard.
I would play Hubbard. I
Over
love
all three of them.
I love Claypool. I like all those guys this week, to be honest with you. I think Tony is probably going to be the most interesting player to follow today because he absolutely carved up the Dallas Cowboys. He played well up against the Saints, I believe, the week before in their first win of the season. But I'm very interested to see what happens with all the pieces there. Now, obviously, Saquon isn't there, Galladay isn't there, but Shepard as well as Slayton are expected to play. So I'm interested to see that. But at the end of the day, I am very high on Hubbard in this game, and I think that everyone needs to be playing Chuba Hubbard. And you'd kind of be foolish unless you have like 2 other elite running backs, which is very hard to find on teams. Then you're going to have to play Hubbard.
Yeah, especially with, as you mentioned, a couple of guys are either banged up and missing time or playing through injury in the backfield. So even if you are in a situation where you have 2 guys that are on the surface or at least talent-wise, better than Hubbard, and Hubbard's on your bench, there's a chance that like Nick Chubb could be out, Saquon Barkley could be out, maybe even Zeke playing through injury is enough of a concern. Is that, and I do want to just shift gears really quick because Zeke is playing, and I know that there was some concern about how much or whether or not he would even be out there earlier in the week, but Elliott's playing in New England. Is there any concern about his workload? And then also on the flip side, what does that do for Tony Pollard?
My expectation is that Zeke is perfectly fine. Now, I think that there would be a lot more talk throughout the week if Zeke was seriously going to be kind of not 100% in this game. If he is not 100%, then obviously Tony Pollard would enter must-start category. But based upon everything that I have read thus far is going to show me that I think you should still be very confident in playing Ezekiel Elliott. Just to pivot off of this, we can continue to talk about it after. This is a very similar situation to kind of Kareem Hunt. A lot of people are talking about how Kareem Hunt's going to be quote unquote limited. There's no way you're going to limit Kareem Hunt in this game that they could easily win up against the Arizona Cardinals. I think he's good to go. I think you should be 100% confident playing him as well. And I think a lot of people are going to try to talk themselves out of it because of the talk from the coach. I would continue to be very excited to play Kareem Hunt without Nick Chubb.
Talk in the sense of that Hunt is going to split time with other people, and that's not going to just be a 100% workload there. That would be a deterrent for people running with Hunt. Is that what you mean?
No, a lot of people are talking about that. Yeah, that Hunt, if I could read I might be able to pull up the report, but they were talking about how Kareem Hunt's not going to be like 100% good in this game. Like they're going to limit him a little bit. I don't believe that at all, to be completely honest with you. And I'll read exactly what it says. Tom Pelissero says that Coach Kevin Stefanski has a number of touches in mind for Kareem Hunt with the wrist and knee injury in week number 6. I don't want to kill Kareem, Stefanski says. Hunt has been dealing with multiple injuries. I'm not buying into the fact that Kareem Hunt isn't going to see a lot of touches in this game. I would be shocked if they severely limited him enough. Like I'm talking a limit like Saquon Barkley early on in the season. There's literally no way that happens.
Yeah, that's the thing. If the only thing that you could look at would be how healthy he is. But again, it's not like he's playing through significant injury. I think he had the Q tag on him for a little bit, but for the most part, not missing anything recent, at least on Friday. And that would tell you that he's set to go. They don't have anybody else they can rely on like that to that extent. So it would just, and look, they're going to need him to even stay in this game without Chubb. It's not like they're going to ask Mayfield to throw 50 times because Nick Chubb's out and Kareem Hunt's healthy.
Yeah, there's no way. Baker is still banged up as well, right? He still has that left labrum injury. And to me, that looks like it affects him. Jarvis is back in this game, but I don't think Jarvis really does too much right? He's just another piece in the offense. He's clearly important, right? Because he's their second best wide receiver. But to me, I think that Kareem Hunt should be still seeing a load of carries. And I would just really be shocked if for some reason he just has this crazy load management. To me, there's just no way.
So we talked about Saquon briefly as far as another running back who's out. And this Giants offense is so much different, right? Depending on who the quarterback is. But Devontae Booker at least stands to gain some value here. If you're streaming a running back, if this is the week that maybe you're dealing with a bye for whatever reason, is he even on your radar? And again, maybe he's on the back end of your bench because of how you drafted, whatever the case may be, the circumstances surrounding how Booker would be available, but is he even on your radar right now with A, the matchup, and then also B, the volume that we expect he's going to get, and I guess C, the quarterback situation as well?
I'm very confident in Booker, to be completely honest with you. I think that last week he looked really good up against Dallas. I'm not sure why he wouldn't be able to look. Now, again, he's not a guy that I expect to be like a top 5 running back like Hubbard, right? I don't expect that. Like, I don't expect Hubbard to be top 5, but I could see him doing that. I don't really see Booker doing that. But I do think it is a similar like situation because with Saquon Barkley down, they don't just pivot to some running back by committee, right? They just pivot. It's the next man up mentality. Devontae Booker is going to be seeing a bunch of touches in this game. I understand it's the Rams. I understand that Daniel Jones is banged up, right? He got messed up in that game, but he's going to play in this game. He's going to be perfectly fine. I saw a picture of him walking into the stadium holding his Dunkin' Donuts. He looks good to go. Go ahead and be pretty confident in Booker. Now, again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's going to be like a top 10 running back or something fucking crazy because that's just not how I see it. But I do see him being a guy that you can heavily rely on. And in a lot of situations, he's going to be better than some guy that might normally be in your lineup, to be honest.
Now, is this accurate here? Pat Lepre saying that you're on suicide watch, fins up. We just want to make sure, like, are you going to make it? We have a whole hour to get to right here. This game's going to be over beforehand. So we want to make sure if you're going to jump out of a 1-story window or not.
No, I'll be fine. My window in my room, it's like, since I'm like, it's not really a basement, but I'm kind of low down. So if I jump out the window, nothing's going to happen. So I'll be fine.
Your ground floor.
Yeah, we're ground floor. And there's like some nice bushes in front too. It'll break my fall. I'll be fine.
There you go. Mike on the chat, Alex Collins or Julio Jones as a flex in a standard PPR league?
Alex Collins or Julio Jones? I would go with Alex Collins. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Julio Jones has been an absolute disgrace this season. If I'm being honest with you, I feel very wrong about him. I was very high on him. That was completely wrong. And again, there's nothing you can really do about that, right? When you're just completely wrong on a guy. And it seems like he's in a good situation, but coming off of an injury, he never plays good coming off an injury. Let me tell you that much. He never does. So there's no way I'm playing him this week. And that Bills defense is legit. I believe I read that they were the #1 defense against the pass from DVOA. Now, again, how much do you buy into DVOA? I'm not too sure, but I believe at least that means that they're pretty good, right? Even if they're not the best defense. To me, they're very good up against the pass. They shut down Mahomes last week, and a hobbled Julio Jones with Tannehill, who's playing like complete and utter ass right now. There is really no way that I'm going to want to play Julio. And I'm very low on A.J. Brown this week as well. I think the only Titan that you want this week is Mr. Derrick Henry.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, he's the only guy that's going to bust through anything, no matter the defense, still has that big play capability. And the big thing about both of these wide receivers, it's the point that you raised, which I think is probably not being discussed enough, where you see, oh, these two guys are healthy, they're coming back. Yes. But Ryan Tannehill, I mean, if your quarterback is dog shit, then it really doesn't matter how healthy either one of these guys are combined are. He needs to just be getting better. So that would be a pretty big deterrent for me as well, just playing either one of these guys pending their health. If the quarterback can't play, then what are you really getting, right?
Yeah, I agree. It's tough, but I'm still fine with it, I guess. No, I'm not fine with playing them, but I'm fine with Tannehill as like a whole. Like, I think he's going to be fine on the year. I think Julio's going to be fine on the year. Now. I think A.J. Brown's going to be fine on the year, but in this game, I don't think that anyone should be very excited to start any of these guys. This might just be a blowout.
So we brought up Tony earlier in a start-sit with a couple of other guys, but Kenny Galladay's out. You mentioned the other two are in. So that leaves those three from Shepard, Slayton, and Tony, with Galladay being the odd man out. Is there anybody that, outside of what you mentioned with Tony, what about these other two guys now returning and somewhat of volume that should be up there, kind of in the same way as we looked at with Booker, where Giants are going to have to pass, especially as we anticipate them being down.
Yeah. Now, the thing with the other guys outside of Tony is I'm not very confident in any of them outside of Tony. I think Tony is the clear number one guy. Without Galladay, though, there's certainly room for Shepard to play well. So I would kind of lean on Shepard out of him and Slayton. I think Slayton's at the point where he's like that guy that you need to really catch that big pass, right? You need him to get a 50-yard touchdown in order for you to even feel all right about starting him, because he's not going to be seeing very many targets. So Shepard, I'm all right starting, but he's not a guy that I'm overwhelmingly excited for. Like, he's not a top 32 receiver this week at all, in my opinion.
What about with Washington? I know that the up and down was McLaurin and kind of concern about whether or not he's there. He's up. Curtis Samuel is down.
Yeah.
Is there any maneuverability in this? We know the tight end situation. Is there any maneuverability in this offense? And the reason why I bring it up is because, look, Nick, it's the Chiefs, man. It's the Chiefs defense. They're so bad that it shouldn't even matter who's out there. You should be able to move the football.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at all. I think Taylor Heineke is going to have a huge game. I think you guys were talking about him on Friday on the Awesemo Fantasy Football Show, and I was listening to that. I'm very high on him this week. He's a guy that I'm very excited about. I like Ricky Seals-Jones as well. I like Terry McLaurin. I mean, Terry McLaurin is banged up, though, so there's clearly something to worry about that, but I wouldn't also be just poo-pooing him or anything. I think he could still easily have a top 10 game. And then outside of that, though, it's like a wasteland at the wide receiver position in Washington outside of Terry McLaurin. And then obviously there is Ricky Seals-Jones, the replacement for Logan Thomas, but he's not a guy that I am very high on, but I do like Ricky Seals-Jones. But Heineke, I think, could literally be the number one quarterback in fantasy. This week. I love him, and I believe that this is going to be a very high scoring game, probably one of the most fun games to watch on the week, besides the Ravens versus the Chargers.
Ben, I'm just so happy that you laid 2.5 and not 3, because this thing could come down to your squad winning by a field goal, and it would feel like a loss if you push this game, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. It would feel like a very big loss. If the Dolphins lose this game as a whole, it's going to feel even worse, though, to be honest.
Well, yes, it's not over just quite yet. By all means, you called it over, and here they are.
Yeah, that happens in the election sometimes, 5. Too. You never know. That happens in the election, too. You might call it the wrong way, you know? My projections were off.
You're the one who called it, so you've already shut the building down, like the food's done from the polling celebration. You're in your car, you're driving home, and the next thing you know, you have a whole election to go. So you have to come back around and get back in there. That's all.
That's all right. The Dolphins just scored. We got to stop the count right now. We're up. Just end the game.
That's it. Just run the clock out for 11 minutes, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I mean, the Dolphins had at the beginning of the game, the Dolphins had 12 minutes of possession versus 3 for the Jaguars, and the Jaguars were now winning. That just shows how shitty the Dolphins are. But it's okay because we're winning now.
Yeah, look, I love, by the way, the Eagles fan in me loves how polar and 180 you are. I'm sure exactly Mike is agreeing as well. I don't know how this keeps happening, but more Philadelphians keep infiltrating Awesemo, and I love it. I absolutely. And now we have on the production element too. So it's not guys, all these New Yorkers who produce that just cut us off when we start talking too heavily on the Eagles.
New York. Yeah. Gotta hate those New Yorkers, right?
Yeah. They infiltrate. No, I'm one of them, so I can't complain. All right. So what about Gibson on the other hand? He's going to play as well, just keeping in this Washington game. And I feel like is your point about Heineke possibly being the number one quarterback, and rightfully so, based on just who he's going up against. What does that do for the run game and really the pass game for the running backs with both Gibson and McKissic?
The thing with McKissic and the other guy is just about as bad as it gets, right? Like, how do you know at all what to do with McKissic and Antonio Gibson on a weekly basis, right? Like, do you feel comfortable starting either of them? Because, right, you're going to start Gibson, but any given week, Antonio Gibson could get screwed over by J.D. McKissic. We've seen it happen multiple times this season. So I'm going to tell you right now that I would not be 100% confident in McKissic or Gibson, but I'm still firing up Gibson this game, not McKissic though.
Yeah, I mean, I have no choice. Now, I'm not dealing with a one or the other by any means, but I have no choice in the sense of Nick Chubb's out for me. and I have Gibson as my other main back. So I might have been able to maneuver like, Myles Gaskin, for example, or Devin Singletary or somebody like that. But because Chubb is out and Gibson is banged up, I kind of have no choice at this point but to play Antonio Gibson. Maybe, you understand what I'm saying? Like maybe if I had some sort of maneuverability, I could take advantage of it, but he's technically not even, I don't think he's even listed on the injury report this week, right? We just know since he offered it up a week ago, we know that he's playing through these banged up shins.
Yeah, no, I expect him to be 100% healthy in the game. I'm just worried about the fact that I'm not 100% confident in the fact that JD McKissic isn't just going to fucking vulture a touchdown or something, right? Because we've seen it this season. But I do think this game will be high. Like, I'm fine starting Gibson, right? I'm going to tell you to start Gibson, but there are situations where maybe you picked up Chuba Hubbard. And in my opinion, I'd rather play Hubbard than Antonio Gibson. So
Deontay Johnson or Joe Mixon at the flex. Jason on the chat, and we'll assume full PPR here.
I would go ahead and play Deontay Johnson. I think Deontay Johnson is going to go off up against the Seattle Seahawks. And Big Ben looked surprisingly good this week. I don't know if you thought this or last week.
Amazing.
It's weird. It was like he looked like shit for multiple weeks in a row, and then he just woke up, had a big game. But then again, I think I explained this last week. Basically, Najee Harris and Deontay Johnson are immune from any bad play that is even possible from Big Ben, because he just gets thrown the ball so many times. It's like Big Ben has no idea how to throw to anyone else. And then when it's Deontay Johnson, it's a laser coming his way. So I expect Deontay Johnson to have a big game. Mixon was very surprising last week. If you guys watched the live stream, I was very down on Joe Mixon. There was no reason to be up on Joe Mixon. The guy got like 30% of the snaps, but he turned it into a touchdown. He looked good in that game. I expect him to have a good game this week because the matchup is so good, but I'd still lean with Deontay Johnson up against Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks.
We also know that Mixon was banged up enough to have a Q tag with him all week.
Yeah.
So he's clearly playing through something there, and not something as far as what the injury, but I'm saying like he's clearly not 100%. Here's the point, though, about what you brought up with Roethlisberger. It's crazy, and I can't believe that it's week 6. I thought it would take maybe a year before I said this, but their offensive line is playing better. And that's a huge part. I mean, their offensive line was the worst. It was awful. You felt bad for people on that team watching the offensive line the first month of the season. And all of a sudden they started to look better. And that, again, goes back to your point about Deontay Johnson in the passing game. Even Najee Harris, is going to get some looks in there. So, I have no problem with that by any means, taking advantage of Harris in that situation and kind of avoiding the injury. All right, we're going to do one for Jonathan here on the chat. Deontay, Hollywood, or Cooper?
Deontay, Hollywood, or Cooper. I would play Deontay Johnson. And no, I would play, is it
really
Amari Cooper or Cooper Kupp?
You know what? Let's do this. Let's do Deontay Johnson. Let's do Hollywood and both Coopers. And now you pick 2.
Okay, well, I would definitely go
Cooper Kupp, Amari Cooper, just for the people out there. Sorry, because I know I'm tagging on here. Hollywood Brown and Deontay Johnson. You need 2.
Yeah, I'm going with Cooper Kupp. Obviously, I think he didn't play as great last week because they were really focused on Robert Woods. I think they're going to still throw the ball to Robert Woods, obviously, right? But I think they're going to still throw a lot to Cooper Kupp. So Cooper Kupp, and then I would go with Amari Cooper. But I think the safest bet is not Amari Cooper. It's actually Deontay Johnson, because we've seen these games where the Cowboys, they're playing really well. They're scoring all these points, but somehow like Zeke scores twice or Dalton Schultz scores once or twice. And then you're just sitting there with kind of your thumb up your ass thinking, wow, what just happened? Why did I start Amari Cooper? Why did I start CeeDee Lamb? Right? Because they don't have a great game, but I'm still very confident in Amari Cooper. So I would play him. So both of the Coopers out of that question.
Yeah. The point you bring up about Amari Cooper, I think, especially in this type of game, they're on the road. It's a high total, but I can't see it getting anywhere near that at 50.5.
Yeah.
Just feels like it's going to be a slow, sluggish game where running backs are taking touchdowns away. And maybe Cooper has like 1 or 2 big catches, but it's hard for me to think that this is going to be anywhere remotely close to a Cowboys blowout or a shootout between these two teams.
Yeah, I don't really see it being a shootout. I thought last week up against the Giants could have been a shootout, and it seemed like it kind of had all the makings of it until Daniel Jones got hurt. Like it seemed like
everybody.
The
Cowboys
Giants
did their part. They put up a bunch.
Cowboys look good. So yeah, I'm pretty confident in the Cowboys this week, but I'm definitely starting Amari Cooper. It's just tough when they have the bad game.
Are you going to jump in right now? You've got a live line pretty favorable for you.
Jump in again? I don't know. I don't know how much more I could bet on the Dolphins without having a heart attack while watching the game.
You could take Miami -3 right here. Take the hook that you gave up and realize that at the very least the push is in play. Double down on it.
You're right. And you know what the best? I don't know. I don't think this sportsbook even sponsors this podcast, but the best one is it's the BetMGM one. But you don't know what's even better than BetMGM? Yahoo DFS.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. No,
Exactly.
that's fine because BetMGM sponsors what we do on the Awesemo betting channel. So we owe them a lot here. But you mentioned Yahoo, right? Great transition by the one and only Nick Lepre. Save maybe as well. 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. All you have to do is click that link in the description below this video and sign up. $10 is going to get you a lot, including 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum with, again, your first deposit and paid contest entry. Hit that thumbs up button and please make sure you're subscribed here to the Awesemo Fantasy Football channel. All right, let's look at this. Herbert or Pittman on the chat, full PPR.
Herbert or Pittman? I'm playing Pittman. I think Khalil Herbert actually has a pretty solid game, but there is no way that I'm going to sit Pittman. Pittman made the catch last week. That was a grown man catch. Did you see that up against the Baltimore Ravens? That was like just moss the guy, do him nice. And that was a very good catch. I think Michael Pittman's going to be on fire. I'm not worried about T.Y. Hilton. I know people will be. I'm personally not. So I'm all in on Michael Pittman. And sadly, the Dolphins moved to -155 at -3 as I was about to bet it. So that's tough. Now it's at 137.
Yeah. You're in Jersey. That's right.
Yeah.
See, I'm used to talking to people that are living in a state where you can't legally bet. So I have to constantly update live lines, but you are in a state that's even better than PA. You can bet on everything. Like you guys can bet on the Oscars. You can bet on cooking shows. You can bet on the hot dog eating contest. New Jersey's like the Wild West for sports betting. It's amazing.
Yeah. The only thing you can't ever bet on is the national anthem during the Super Bowl, which is so sad. That's like the best thing to bet on.
Yeah. I don't think you can legally bet on that in general, though.
No, you can't. All right. Never mind.
No. I'm telling you, New Jersey is the barometer. If you can't bet on it legally in New Jersey, then chances are you can't bet on it legally anywhere in this country, including Vegas.
Yeah,
New Jersey is like the extension of Vegas in that regard. So, no, I always look at the Jersey apps as the barometer by all means for everything here. All right, moving on. Brandon Cooks. Oh, you know what the thing about Pittman, though, real quick, before we get to this from Mobius on the chat, and this factors in because Pittman is involved here as well. So it's Cooks, Pittman, or Williams. You mentioned T.Y. Hilton coming back. I'll just say this. Now, look, I know that he's not here anymore, but when Carson Wentz finds somebody, he'll stick with that guy until it's like noticeably obvious and the coaching staff has to basically sit him down and say, dude, you might want to throw to somebody else. So the rapport that he has with Pittman, honestly, T.Y. Hilton may take targets and catches away from somebody else, but it's not going to do anything, in my opinion, at all to limit what's going on with Pittman. I mean, those two guys now have an established connection that Carson Wentz will much rather rely on from a safety standpoint than start spreading the ball around even more because Hilton's back. So just something to think about as well in the backdrop of Nick answering that Cooks, Pittman, or now Darrell Williams.
I'd play Darrell Williams, but I completely agree with you. I think that T.Y. Hilton coming back has like an impact on the team. So, right, maybe now Paris Campbell won't be getting the touches, maybe Zach Pascal, but I still expect it to be very funnel heavy towards Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman's been a target hog. I wrote about him this week. I think it's, now again, don't quote me, right? I'm not some math genius that's going to remember the exact number, but I think it's 8.8 targets per game, something like that. So yeah, he's been on fire this year, much better than I thought. So I love Michael Pittman, but Darrell Williams, he just has the opportunity to get a million dump offs in what should be one of the higher scoring games on the week between them and the Washington football team. So I love Darrell Williams this week. He's a very reliable guy for the next couple of weeks with CH down for the count.
All right, adjust the bands on the chat. Full PPR, A-Rob or Rondale? Now, Robinson playing through some injury too, right?
Yeah, Allen Robinson.
That's coming up in a sec.
I'm playing Allen Robinson, but man, oh man, that is the only situation where I'm playing Allen Robinson. I hate Allen Robinson. He has screwed me over immensely. They don't throw the ball. They threw the ball, 20 times last week, 25 times the week before.
Yep.
They're basically bubble wrapped Justin Fields and they basically just don't want him to mess up, which I understand, right? You don't want your rookie quarterback to screw everything up. But at the end of the day, what are they doing? Throw the ball more. They're just running the ball with Khalil Herbert. Allen Robinson, I'm playing him in that situation because Rondale Moore, I don't know. What do you think about this? Because the Cardinals don't even have their head coach. What does that do to the team without them having? Now, it's not like the Saints situation where they were down like 12 coaches in week number 2 or whatever it was up against the Panthers, but still being down Cliff Kingsbury has to have some effect on the offense, you would think, right?
Yeah, because he's so involved. And just for people who are like, what the hell's going on? And shame on me for not bringing this up at the jump. Kingsbury's had multiple positive tests, COVID tests, back-to-back days. He'll miss today's game. He'll need 2 negatives 24 hours apart. So the earliest he can return is Tuesday. He's out today. We know he's out today. Yeah, because he's so, he is the offense. He's not even overseeing somebody up top calling plays, right? He is the offense, and you can only hand things over so much. I don't think Arizona looks lost out there, they're bumping into each other and guys are holding left and right. But it would be, here's the other thing though. Rondale Moore is already a high volatility guy, a highly volatile guy, right?
Yeah.
In such a deep wide receiver core. Now, Zach Ertz isn't playing today. I don't think he would take away much anyway from Moore. I think I'm with you, and I would reluctantly go with Robinson just over the fact that I have less to deal with Robinson, right? All I have to deal with Robinson is the quarterback situation. With Moore, I have to deal with the coaches out, and 2 to 3 other guys are going to be heavily as targeted as Moore. I don't have that with Robinson. Mooney's not going to get 10 more targets than Robinson today.
Yeah, obviously not. At this point, I would definitely be very confident in starting Allen over Rondale Moore, but as a whole, I'm not very confident in Allen Robinson. But in this situation, I would just have to be, right? Because every week in Arizona, it's so confusing. One game, it's AJ Green. The next week, it's Rondale Moore. The week after that, it's Christian Kirk. And the only stagnant player there is D-Hop. And D-Hop hasn't even really played up to where you drafted him at this point. But he's been kind of up and down. He hasn't had a bad game, but he also hasn't been amazing. So I just think you play Allen Robinson. But in a lot of scenarios, Allen Robinson will be far from the answer on who to start. And if Gaskin dropped this ball, we're going to have a big problem here. Yeah, I don't think
you're a little ahead of me because I'm on an app, legally streaming on an app, but I'm on an app.
Wow, look at you.
Well, I have to clarify that because we're here, and next thing I know, somebody dimes me out. It's like the dude sitting on his couch diming Tiger Woods out for what? Remember that shot 10 years ago? Everybody's like, "Oh my God, somebody would do that to me." He's illegally pirating the NFL game. Get emails from Alex and Tom, and it would just be a bad scene. So.
Yeah, the feds show up during the live stream.
Bad news. It looks like he caught it on the surface, but
I have no idea.
I'm sorry?
I said I have no idea. We just challenged it, and Flores is yelling aggressively at the ref. So,
that's never a good sign. All right, let's look at the other side of that Patriots-Cowboys game. We talked about Ezekiel Elliott and him playing. Looks like he's going to be fine. So, Tony Pollard already heavily involved in the game. Nothing has changed going into it on that side. What about Damian Harris? And I bring him up, Nick, for 2 reasons. One, because of playing through injury, and also a key fumble where this has kind of been, I don't want to say a culprit, but he's had a couple of mistakes, and you have to think that maybe one more bad turnover, especially in another team's red zone or just on killing a drive, might limit him. Now, that's not something that you anticipate, I think, going into it, but it's just something that was kind of floating in the back. What do you do with Damian Harris and really that difficult, as always, to predict Patriots backfield?
Yeah, now I'm playing Damian Harris, but in most situations you're not, because he got very lucky in the call stands. That doesn't make any sense, but it is what it is. But Damian Williams. Oh my God, Damian Harris. Oh, Damian Harris. That was a mental battle in my brain right there after trying to comprehend what happened. You also were,
I have to be honest, no cursing, no yelling and screaming, no breaking anything. You handled that like a pro, man, like a pro.
It's because we're going to go for it on fourth down. But yeah, Damian Harris is a guy that I'm not all that excited about starting. He somehow didn't get hurt last week. Like, I thought that was a bad injury. He escapes the injury, but I don't think he's a guy that you want to be, hallelujah, I want to start Damian Harris, right? I think he's a guy that I would start in a lot of situations, but not someone that I'm very confident in being like a top 12, top 24 back on the week.
A couple of super chats here. We appreciate them and bumps you right up. So we'll hit them all here in a row. Definitely not necessary, but we appreciate it exponentially. CJ on the super chat, Cousins or Heineke?
Cousins or Heineke. I would go with, I have them ranked back to back in my rankings. I would go with Heineke. I think a lot of people, oh, wow, we're so soft. We didn't even go for it. But yeah, so the thing is that.
That's questionable.
Yeah, that was so stupid. But what I was saying is that I think Taylor Heineke is actually pretty good. And I think that the reason why a lot of people are on Kirk Cousins is because he's in for a bounce back game, right? He hasn't played great the last 2 weeks. I think he plays great as well, but I'm more on Heineke. I do believe there's going to be a high scoring game. Both of those teams are bottom 10 in pass DVOA. This is a game that has to be high scoring. If this game is low scoring, I'd be shocked. So I expect Taylor Heineke to put on a clinic up against Mr. Patrick Mahomes.
It's crazy, man. That total was at 56.5 earlier in the week. It's dropped to 54.5. And I just don't know how they don't score 100 points combined in that game.
Yeah, it's still very high. And then the refs are just screwing us again, tickling our ass.
What happened on the punt?
I have no idea, but all the Dolphins players are yelling. I just assume we got screwed as per usual.
Well, it's 4th and 6 on the punt. Did something happen?
I don't know. Watch it right now. All right, so we'll give a nice play-by-play. Oh, no, that's okay. Nothing happened.
All right, you wait for something to happen. Then
nothing happened. We're good.
Here. Oh, okay, good. Josh on the super chat, Gibson or Williams?
Gibson or Williams? I would go with Gibson. I'm not very high on Gibson, but I don't trust Williams either. So I think Gibson could be in for a big game. Again, you are always hoping that he doesn't get vultured because there is always the chance that McKissick comes in there. But the same thing with Williams, there's a chance that Melvin Gordon vultures him. So my guess is I would go Antonio Gibson, and I have Antonio Gibson ranked way ahead of him. So there's really no way that I could talk myself out of Gibson in that spot.
And to your point about it, I just want to bring this up because I know McKissick is clearly the guy that they would rather throw the football to. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like Gibson hasn't had. I mean, Gibson's been targeted 13 times so far. McKissick's only been targeted 5 more times. I know McKissick kind of fell apart, wasn't even around in that first game, right? Just didn't even play barely, right? But my point being, Nick, is that this is not a guy in McKissick who's been targeted 40 times and Gibson who's been targeted 3 times. There seems to be a little balance between the two so far this year. And we factor in that this is the Chiefs who it's not just downfield you could throw against. You could throw anywhere you want. You could do whatever you want against this Chiefs defense in the air. If it's 3 yards down the field, a swing pass, or 30 yards.
Yeah, and I apologize for the question from Josh because I think I answered it as not D Williams, Javonte Williams, but it still stands for Damian Williams as well. Or not Damian Williams.
Sorry, that's my fault.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So I would definitely go with Gibson, 100%. Or Darrell Williams is who he's talking about.
Williams.
There's too many D Williams in the NFL at this point. Very confusing.
I'm sorry. Look, this is hard right now. You're watching a football game that I don't think you anticipated coming down to the wire, staving off what would be embarrassment, to say the least.
Wait, hold up. I think the ball touched that man's finger. Oh, wait, I think it did. All right, I'm sorry. We have to talk about our fantasy, but I'll be honest, my fantasy is that
ball right here, Agnew.
My fantasy is that it's the Dolphins ball right now. That's the fantasy here. But let's keep talking about these questions here. Sorry.
You know what? The only way, I tell you what, just super chat us. You want to hear more about Nick's reactions from what's going on? That's the easiest way to get in there. You super chat something about Nick on the Dolphins, and we'll get it in there. Jay follows up that super chat with Heineke or Cousins, and then we'll get to Knox or Higbee. But let's look at actually, we just hit that. That was the same one from CJ earlier. So other people look, that's how you know it's a good question when multiple people are super chatting the same one. So let's look at the tight end from Jay. Knox or Higbee?
Knox or Higbee. I'm playing Knox. And the call stood on the field. I don't understand that, but I'm going Knox. Knox is on fire. You guys have to continue to start Knox. I'm playing Knox over basically every single tight end, not named Waller or Kelsey. I think that even if Knox gets like 3 targets a game, he's just bound to find the end zone. Eventually it'll cool down, right? Eventually he won't score, but knock on wood, that won't be this week. I very much expect him to be very involved in this game. I expect them to not run all over by running the ball, but just destroy the Tennessee Titans easily. So I expect that Dawson Knox is going to be getting the ball very much in that game, as if that's a real sentence. But yeah, I expect him to have a good game.
I understood it. Trust me. So if I could understand it, I'm sure there are other people on there as well. Let's look at Pistol Pete's question. D. Williams or Khalil Herbert? We've kind of talked about both of these guys here, but not necessarily in a head-to-head.
Yeah, D. Williams or Khalil Herbert. I would go with D. Williams. I like Khalil Herbert a lot, actually. I'm very interested to see how he looks with a kind of receiving down role, because last week he was the leader in rushing yards on the team ahead of Damian Williams, but Damian Williams was seeing all the receptions. Damian Williams either has COVID or someone on the team has COVID to where he's on the COVID IR. So Khalil Herbert could be seeing a bunch of touches, but I'd rather play the guy in a game that I expect to be much higher scoring, where maybe the Chiefs are able to run the ball. Whereas how much do you think the Bears are going to be able to run up against the Packers, right? Probably not very much, you would assume.
No, not very much at all. I'm curious, where do you have Geno ranked coming into this week?
Oh, see, I actually would like Geno a lot if it wasn't this game. This is like the one game where it's like, yeah, do you really want to play him up against the Steelers defense? To me, I wouldn't. So that's kind of my lean on that. But I do think Geno is actually much better than most people give him credit for, except for the fact that everyone was kind of really pumping him up after that Rams game. So maybe I'm just about average on him, thinking he's okay. But this week, unless you're at a big pickle, there's no way I'm starting Geno.
So let's look at it from the other element of it, because I'm curious, and we'll get back to a bunch of the start sits. Any super chats you're coming our way as well, and hit that thumbs up button, please, and make sure that you're subscribed here to the Awesemo Fantasy Football channel. It does wonders for us as we continue to grow this. Yes, I'm curious though with everybody else, right? And I'm sorry, we want to make sure that we are updating everything so that if Nick physically melts down, we understand why. Now, look, is this a storm the field type victory for you? Are you going to jump up and go crazy and throw your hat and scream if the Dolphins hang on and win this game? Is this that type of, or is this kind of just like you've been there before, Barry Sanders, flip the ball to the ref and walk back?
If we lose this game, I think the reaction is going to be way different than winning the game, to be honest. If we win the game, how do you lose to the 0-5 Jaguars? They haven't won a game in 20 fucking weeks. But if we lose,
well, that's what I mean.
Like if we win, I'll be okay.
The field.
Yeah, no, we're not storming the field. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Marvin Jones is just destroying us, but it's okay.
And it comes after Trevor Lawrence can't hit a wide open running back, which is just mind-boggling how up and down this can be. So let's look at the Seahawks. I'm going to do my best to distract you, but then also I know that it's inevitable because something here is going to happen. There's under 5 minutes to go in this game, and it's a 3-point game. And Nick Lepre is hanging on to polar opposite reactions right now, one or the other. And you're right, that was a hell of a catch by Jones. Not a bad ball by Trevor either. So let's look at the Seahawks. I'm curious. You mentioned Geno Smith. That's the easy one, right? As far as the quarterbacks are concerned. And if you're streaming a QB or if you're looking at somebody and Geno Smith is your best option, then you may have to just pray to whatever God it is above that you believe in, and hopefully something's going to work out. But what about Metcalf and Lockett? And then we'll look at Alex Collins to a lesser extent. But what do you do here in this situation? Because as good as both of these guys are, you're still at the mercy of Geno Smith.
Yeah. Now, in my opinion, I like DK Metcalf a lot. It seemed like last week, Geno locked on to DK Metcalf. He didn't seem as fond of Tyler Lockett. Now, Lockett did make not the greatest. I feel like he dropped the ball in that game off my memory, or he was wide open and the ball just went over him. I think Lockett is a good player. I think any given game, Tyler Lockett could completely win you a game, right? He's the kind of guy that catches the ball 5 times, has 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, obviously that's kind of an outlier game, but it is always possible. I think Metcalf gets peppered in this game. I expect Metcalf to play big, and I love Metcalf tonight. And if you guys want to hear more about tonight's game, you can check out Sunday Night Football live before lock with me, Eitan, and Terry No, not Aton. Jeez.
No, not me.
Mac and Terry. Jeez, I just said your name.
Don't sign me up for anything extra that I don't know already about, man. Jeez.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I got nervous for a second. Like, wait, did Chris sign me? They put me on a show and tell me, and then I completely forgot.
No, I just my brain is on noodle right now. I said the wrong E name. My great grandfather Emac, I think, is what the titling of the live stream is always so funny. Like in the description, it says like it is Emac joined with his great grandson, Notorious Fantasy. It's so funny every time.
Is that the largest gap of age that we have of any two hosts on this entire 3-channel network?
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
He's
I'm
older
only 22.
than me. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're 20 years, you and I.
Yeah, that's funny.
So Emac's older than me.
Yeah, I think we added up. Oh, thank God that kicker missed the field goal. You piece of shit.
I was waiting.
Oh my God! Wait, he made it.
There you go. Ooh.
What?
Wait a second.
Wait, what?
We're gonna need.
Why are they selling? What just happened?
I don't know.
No! I'm so sorry to all the people watching at home. I just celebrated on accident. I thought he missed. Oh my gosh, that's so embarrassing.
Sterling there. You pulled a John Sterling, right?
Oh my gosh, what just happened? This kicker's number is 15 and he made the kick. Dude, wait, what? How did that go in?
I don't know, but it's a tie game. I do know that.
Oh my God.
That thing just snuck in. Wow.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
This is what you come for. You come for fantasy football advice and to see Nick Lepre sweat out not only his team, but his bet as well. Look, this is the trifecta right now.
Oh my God.
I am just amazed at what's happening. This is awesome.
How did that? This is
we have
awesome.
a super chat here as you kind of contemplate and digest what's happening to your football team. This is Demand. We appreciate Demander 599 on the super chat. Again, not necessary, but definitely appreciate it. Would you trade Kittle for Gronk or Wilson? Now, he already has Knox, and he can have a quarterback for late in the season, not have to stream the position anymore. So would you trade Kittle or Gronk, for Wilson?
I don't think so, to be honest with you. I don't think so, but I'm trying to think about it for Wilson because, it's tough because what if Wilson comes back and isn't himself because of the injury, right? I've never heard of, I think it's called mallet finger, whatever he had. That looked brutal. I don't know how you grip the football 8 weeks from now with that. Now, again, modern medicine, I expect him to be fine. But at the same time, would that concern you? Now, again, neither of us are claiming to be doctors here or something, but to me, that is a bit concerning. And the thing is that, am I the only person who's very out on George Kittle? Like, what is happening with George Kittle? He's just not getting the ball. He's constantly banged up. I don't know. So I think I'd honestly rather just go ahead and, if you're able to trade Kittle or Gronk for him, I would do it. I'd trade Kittle for Wilson ASAP. Kittle's a bum this year. And sadly, he's one of my favorite players. Yeah, I would do it. I think I read that.
I don't know what the hell's going on with Kittle. Because even with Garoppolo and the offense being healthy, including him, he wasn't dominant. They were going up top to Samuel. And with Trey Lance, it doesn't seem like he's interested in peppering Kittle either. So also the injury, where I guess we got spoiled because the dude could be hurt, miss a couple of games, come back like it's nothing. That hasn't been the case really this year. Yeah, I think you have to make that trade.
Yeah, I think you do too. I think actually when Gronk returns, he's probably still going to continue to be a top 5 guy. You just almost have to assume it with how good Brady looks. Like, it's honestly insane how good this offense is. So I expect him to look very good. So I like Gronk a lot. And I'd rather have Gronk than Kittle at this point. I think a couple of weeks ago, someone asked me if they would trade Kittle for Gronk, and I told them to. And I guess that's kind of been a wash at this point, right? Because they've both been banged up. But to me, that seemed like the right move to have Gronk over Kittle.
I think you're right, though. I think long term, here's the thing. Why would Gronk's productivity go away if he's healthy? I mean, he was a scoring machine. He got looks in the red zone. It's not like all of a sudden when he comes back, defense is going to say, all right, now we have to really focus on Gronk here first and foremost. They got 3 wide. If anything, the emergence of Antonio Brown as a wide receiver 1 has, I think, helped Gronk that he can continue to get behind some defenses or sit soft in the middle as a scoring opportunity. I see you.
Yeah,
I see you going crazy back there.
We're on the first down. No, see, the thing is, this is embarrassing. Why should I be happy that we're beating that we could beat the 0-5 Jags? That's just how sad this franchise is. But what was your question again?
It's not about you being happy so much as you are excited that the team didn't lose, right?
Well,
like, isn't that it more so than anything else?
Yeah, it is. It's more of the
It's
fact
tied
that
is this game going overtime?
if this
Is
goes to
this the
overtime, I might
conspiracy
pass out.
now? Trying to give Londoners extra time here, free football to buy them into getting a Tua jersey?
Yeah, I honestly think a game of the Dolphins versus the Jaguars playing soccer would have been more fun to watch than this football game. That's how bad it is. I mean, I don't know. I think this is a terrible. I feel bad for the people in London. Why do they have to deal with this 2 weeks in a row? Just two bad games. You hate to see
But
it.
do you think they know any different? Like the majority of people know any different as opposed to like, would you know any different if you got a couple of teams that were about to be relegated in the EPL coming over here versus top two squads? Now you may follow the sport and turn around and be like, absolutely, that's a ridiculous question. But I don't think the majority of us would. I think we would eat it no matter what. If you told us it was a steak, we'd sit down and we'd lap that shit up.
Yeah, I think that the people in London, it's weird how big the sport has gotten like across the world. I get comments all the time. People watch my videos from like fucking Australia, and I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
that's like so crazy. Like I always think in my head, this is such a sport for like everyone in the US, but it seems to be getting more and more global. The NBA obviously much bigger around the world, but it's very interesting to see how much bigger the NFL will get. And eventually people are talking about London getting a team. That would be actually the worst thing ever if they had to have teams fly over there every week to have a game.
Yeah, you would really have to bang your schedule out with like a bye and things along those lines. It would
Yeah.
be beyond bizarre, I think, at the start to see that.
Yeah.
All right, a couple
Definitely.
more here on the chat. Hit that thumbs up button. Of course, make sure you're subscribed to the Fantasy Football channel. AJ Brown or Tim Patrick? I thought this was a sneaky good question from Z on the chat.
AJ Brown or Tim Patrick. Now that's the kind of position where I'm thinking about playing AJ Brown. But again, I don't love AJ Brown. I really do not this week because he hasn't looked good. And I expect the Bills to be all over them. But I would play AJ Brown just on the hopes and the prayers that this is the bounce back game for him. Otherwise, I'm very nervous though. I'm gonna be honest with you. There is this whole Titans team I'm nervous about besides Derrick Henry. I think this is going to be a potential smackdown. I mean, the Bills just smacked down the Chiefs. What do you think they're going to do to the Titans? Like you would just expect them to roll them. So
yeah, it's one that I'm not willing to play. Like I didn't bet it. I didn't do anything on there from a DFS standpoint. I'm trying to stay away from the Titans outside of working Henry in, and then even season long, like unless you have to deal like you're compelled because of your lineup situation with one of the two receivers, I would be looking to stay away from everybody, including Ryan Tannehill. Where do you have Tannehill ranked this week? I'm curious.
Oh, he is very low compared to normal. He's like quarterback 18, 19. There are a lot of players I would rather play than him.
18, 19. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, what are you supposed to do against the Bills, though?
Well, no, that's the big thing, too, is you're trying to go up against the matchup.
Yeah.
Who do you have? 18, 19. So who do you have right below him? Who do you have right above him? Try to put this into context.
I'm pulling up right now and tell you exactly who I have below him and ahead of him because he's kind of in the range of a guy that I'm just very uncomfortable with. So let me give you the exact numbers here. So we got him. He is quarterback number 18 exactly. Look at my brain, super sharp. Carson Wentz is ahead of him. Trevor Lawrence was ahead of him. Obviously, Lawrence is playing right now. Teddy Bridgewater is ahead of him. Below him, we got Derek Carr. Below him, we got Big Ben, Jared Goff, Justin Fields, Tua. So he's not a guy that I like that much this week. I mean, I think Carson Wentz could have a huge game up against the Texans, but it wouldn't surprise me if Carson Wentz just played so good up against the Ravens that he just disappoints up against a horrific Texans defense. Would that surprise you? Wouldn't surprise me.
It would surprise me a little bit, but if I had to choose between being surprised or not being surprised, then I would not be surprised. But if I had range of answer, then I think he's going to be comfortable throwing the ball. The problem, though, is that the Colts are bad. I mean, the Colts are not a good football team. They're getting they were getting double-digit points in a divisional game against another team that only has one win. So I'm with you, man. I don't think it's going to be Wentz throws for 400 yards again. But what I do like is the Wentz to Pittman connection. I think that's something that you're going to see. What about the running back in the situation of carries? I know that Jonathan Taylor would be a good place to start. Maybe if anybody's streamlining, Himes was a good option at one point, but he's kind of faded back. What are you looking at with Taylor? Kind of where do you have him ranked this week?
I love Taylor. he played great against the Dolphins. He played great last week. I mean, he's just a really good running back who wasn't given enough touches. And the Miami Dolphins, if they did not get this first down, I genuinely believe we should leave the offensive coordinator in England. I mean, we just ran the ball with Malcolm Brown instead of Myles Gaskin. And he definitely
is that possible to only leave, like, or do you at some point does Flores, isn't this a guy that Flores picked here?
Yeah, no, Flores is definitely on the hot seat. This is terrible. But yeah, play Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, please give us the first down. Please. We didn't get it, though.
4th and 1 on their own 46.
We didn't get it, though. I know we didn't get it.
On 4th and 1, they're bringing the sticks out, right?
Yeah, this is embarrassing.
Oh,
this is embarrassing. Man. I'm sorry to everyone watching this live stream. We should be talking about, Urban Meyer would stay in. Yeah, Urban Meyer would stay in England. Have some fun time with the girls. Yeah, that's not a first down. I'm going to jump out the window. It's okay, though, guys. Safety first. The window is only a couple of feet from the ground.
Here's the thing, though. You can't leave him in London because there's so much to do. Like Urban Meyer would be a reward. You have to leave him. Is there a connecting flight? Probably not. They're probably driving or flying, nonstop to Miami. So maybe you purposely have some sort of layover in, I don't know, Dulles or someplace like that. And everybody's like, why the hell do we have a layover here? You got the first down. What are you talking about?
No, we didn't get the first down.
Oh, it looked like it did on my end. I apologize.
No, they have the ball. They're going to win.
Okay.
This is embarrassing.
Look at this. The chat coming up.
Yeah, the chat over here. Terrible spot. Yeah. Why would it be a terrible? Why wouldn't they give? I don't know. It's whatever. Just keep talking about fucking fantasy, whatever. This is pissing me off.
Speaking of depressed Pistons fan. Now that is a lifestyle right there, by the way. Should I start Higbee or Cook at tight end? We'll get to the running back question because that's a really good one with Connor now entering the conversation. But let's start with the tight ends. Higbee or Cook at the tight end spot?
I'm playing Higbee. Now, they talked about Donald Parham being more involved. How much do you buy into that? It's not very much, but I think Higbee could be in for a big game. Higbee's a guy that I start every single week, so there's nothing that really concerns me about him. Oh, my God. Kill this guy.
What about with Cook?
With Cook, I actually... Sorry, you
go ahead. No.
I was going to say, it's so weird doing this online because, like, you say something and then I think you're done. That's the funniest part.
No, that's my fault because I thought that you were going to talk. I didn't want to jump in if you had anything on the Dolphins, but I also wanted to just mention Cook really quick because not head-to-head with Higbee. I agree with you. Higbee's a great option. He's on my squad every week. I don't even think about going to the bench. But just as far as Cook as a whole, being a scoring option on that team, is he too touchdown dependent for you?
I think he is, to be honest with you, at this point in the season. Yeah, I think he's very touchdown dependent, and I think Parham is going to start stealing more touchdowns, and that's going to get you even more aggravated now. At the end of the day, you're still going to start Jared Cook, right, in a lot of situations because while he's not a guy that's top 10, when you get past like the top 12 tight ends, it is bad down there. It gets scary. So Jared Cook, especially in a game that I would say I would expect to be very high scoring between them and the Ravens. I think this is going to be one of the highest scoring totals of the week. So I expect that both of the teams look good, and I expect Jared Cook to potentially find his way into the end zone. So I think Cook is fine, but definitely Higbee over him. And it is 3rd and 20. There's 20 seconds left. The Dolphins can make a stop here. We are going to overtime. And the Dolphins play prevent defense because they have no brain. Love that.
It's, again, Jags have it on their own 44, so they would have to get at least 16, I would think maybe 18 yards in 20 seconds. 12, you think, for a field goal?
No, they just got 12 yards. So if they kick this field, if this goes in, I'm going to leave the live stream.
No
I can't actually leave the live stream, actually, because, this is my job. I can't just leave because the Dolphins lose, but I will be sad.
You've worked enough, I think, to count for the hour here. You would just have to have Mike and myself just sign off that it's like filling out the time card that you were there for perfect attendance, even though you weren't. No,
I'm going to stay. Obviously,
your homework back.
No, I'll be fine.
5 seconds left.
5 seconds left. I swear, if this, they're going for it. Thank gosh, they're not trying to kick a field goal. If the Dolphins let up a Hail Mary here,
a 70-yarder though, right?
Yeah, if
65-yarder.
Yeah, this is bad.
This comes off a huge play, though, by the way, off that sack.
Yeah, and then
They get
Crack-a-Man.
Chenault for 12. Yeah, I mean, it's on Miami's 44 right now. This is a
Yeah, I thought the ball was
63-yarder,
much closer.
62-yarder.
There's no way but the guy just made a 58-yarder. But Crack-a-Man in the
Yeah.
chat said, should I start Dawson Knox or Hunter Henry
Super
over
chat, thank
Higbee?
you.
I would play Knox over all of them. I love Dawson Knox this week. I'm very high on him, and I expect him to play well. So sorry about that. We can keep talking about the Dolphins game too.
Is he your top tight end or still Waller and Kelsey? Outside of Kelsey, how about that? Is he higher than Waller yet?
Yeah, he would be.
But not Kelsey.
No, not Waller. He's basically it's Kelsey, Waller, then him.
Got it. Okay, just to kind of put things in perspective. And the other two, it's obviously going to be Higbee. So that's the order for your Crack-a-Man is it's going to be Knox, then Higbee.
Yeah.
Another one here on the chat, Johnny G. Thielen, Shepard this week.
Thielen, Shepard this week. I would go with Thielen, but he had a bad game last week. I think a lot of people are going to run away from him this week, and I think he's in a spot to have a really big game. So I expect him to play quite well. But again, I think the safer bet probably is Shepard, though. But I would go with
5
Thielen.
seconds to go, 65-yard field goal. I don't know why you don't try it.
No,
Doesn't make any sense.
I hope this is going to be a touchdown, though. I already know what's going to happen.
No.
Oh my gosh,
Schultz or Higbee? How about that as a tight end spot?
Oh no! Why did they do that?
Wait a second. See, I'm monitoring the chat. I have a child in my hands. I can't do 3 things at once here. So you have to fill us in.
Okay,
as what just
so
happened.
They throw the ball, and they just throw it underneath because the Dolphins are in prevent defense like a bunch of fucking idiots, and they convert it, and now they're going to go for a field goal. They're going to kick the field goal, and the Dolphins are going to lose. And I'm going
Wait, there was 5 seconds left. How much time came off the clock?
4 seconds. There's 1 second left. If this guy makes this field goal, come
4 seconds left?
Come on, please miss this field goal.
How did that happen?
Please miss this field goal. I'm sorry. I'm not even in frame. I'll sit back up.
Quick slant right there. That moved the ball, and he goes down. They call a timeout. All right, real quick. We're winding down, so we want to get as many as we possibly can in here. Khalil Herbert or Connor? He missed it.
No, he made it.
Oh, my God. Jags +3.
Fuck the Dolphins.
Yikes.
I'm done.
Yikes.
I'm done. And then I'm going to get laughed at by everyone. This is embarrassing. What was the question? Khalil Herbert or him?
I don't know. I mean, are people going to trust that you're going to get sound advice right now? You're just going to say, fuck the world and screw it now.
No. You can still get an answer. It's whatever. Might as well have just burned $50 over betting it on the Dolphins. I'm never doing this again. I give up.
Let's do Herbert or Connor really quick as we wind down.
I'm going Connor. I think that Connor could be getting the ball a lot in this game.
Yeah, Edmonds, right? I mean, as far as just the health concern, is it that, or is it just a matter of what Connor's been doing?
It's just a matter of the fact that Connor just keeps scoring. That's really what it is. He's just so good at this point that I feel like you have to kind of keep relying on him.
All right, we have more popping coming in here. I love the chat. It's just all over this game. Wow. Schultz or Higbee? I don't think we answered that one. Let's get that in there. That's an interesting one because I'm with you on Higbee as well. But Schultz, I think, is a sneaky play, especially in a game like this, where you could see them kind of moving the ball a little bit more methodically and taking advantage of a little bit more the middle of the field, or at least just that position and the matchup against the Patriots linebackers.
Yeah, I think Schultz is a very interesting start. I think that I wouldn't necessarily lean him over Higbee, so I would go with Higbee, but I think Schultz is a guy that has the potential to be a top 5 guy any given week, right?
Yeah, it's crazy how he pops in there like that. All right, Williams or Gibson? D. Williams or Gibson today?
D. Williams or Gibson? I would go with Gibson. D. Williams is kind of just like the one little bit below him. So
we're getting a ton of D. Williams questions. I just saw one earlier, him or Josh Jacobs. Where do you have Williams ranked right now?
I got Williams at, let me see. I think I have Williams ranked above Jacobs. I got Josh Jacobs as my running back 18, Darrell Williams running back 14.
Okay, interesting. You have you have Jacobs as your running back 18 and Carr, I think, is like quarterback 20, you said?
Yeah, because the thing is with Gruden, for some reason, they just committed to the run with Jacobs, even when Jacobs looked like shit. So
Yep.
I don't know if they're going to continue to do that without him, but it is what it is. I'm going.
Does this just ruin the rest of your day right now, or are you going to watch football? I mean, you've got money involved. I know you're running some DFS lineups. You got season long everywhere. You've got a stream audience.
Yeah.
Does part of you just want to turn the lights off and go to sleep?
Yeah. Part of me wants to call up Deshaun Watson and tell him he's the new quarterback of our team. I'm so sick of this shit.
I'm telling you, you guys right now have the best shot at it by all means. I don't know what you're doing, not pulling the trigger.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, we can keep answering fantasy questions, but I genuinely don't understand the play calling. Like, how is Tua gonna cook up? He literally destroyed them in the first drive, and then out of nowhere, we just play this watered down offense where we're just not playing the same way. Like, let Tua be aggressive. I don't understand it. I'm being serious. Leave both the offensive coordinators in England. Just fucking go home without them. Screw those guys.
Heineke or Kyler Murray. Now, this is going to test how high you think Heineke can truly be today on the boom bust tool and where you actually think he can finish versus Kyler Murray. Now, again, we're dealing with a situation where he doesn't have Murray, his head coach, who's also the offense, at least from the play calling standpoint. So I don't know how much all of that factors in for you, Nick, but those two put against each other, where you going?
Oof, I'm definitely going Kyler. Like, how can you sit down Kyler with how well he's played? I got Kyler 7, Heineke 10.
Yep. So Heineke 10. Okay. But the ceiling for Heineke is 1 this week, right?
Yeah. And the ceiling for Kyler would also be the same thing.
Yeah. That's so tough right there, to see that. I see a couple of questions on Darrell Mooney. I'm just curious where you have him ranked this week.
Darnell Mooney. I hate Darnell Mooney this week. They just don't throw the ball. That's the issue. If they would just commit to throwing the ball, which I think they have to in this game, but we've yet to see them commit to throwing the ball with him or with Justin Fields. So
Fields, right.
I'm hoping that they do actually throw the ball this time a lot, but I don't know how to predict it, because what happens if the Packers offense kind of gets out a little bit sluggish and then they just run Khalil Herbert 50 times? Yep. And then you don't see any Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney's also a guy, though, that can take really any play straight to the house.
Cortland Sutton or Michael Pittman today?
I would play Cortland Sutton. I think that it's very close. I actually got this question like 5 times in the chat in my live stream, because those are two guys that I'm really high on.
We got it a couple times today, so maybe you ignored it, and that's why we're getting pounded on it.
No, maybe I did not answer it. I don't know. To be honest with you, I read the chat and I just click on a question. I just start reading it. Like, I don't actually read the whole chat. It's too difficult. And yeah, I don't know. I would lean with Cortland Sutton, but it is very close.
Bateman or Renfro?
Bateman or Renfro? I am playing Renfro. I don't trust Bateman in his first game.
Yeah, debut. Not even in that offense. It's tough.
Yeah, no, it's because I could see him playing really good, but do you ever really want to risk a rookie playing in his first game in this scenario, right? Where he didn't really practice much at least off the top of my head, he was banged up during training camp. So how much do you want to trust him week 1 just to throw him out there? To me, I'd rather just wait, right? I think that's just the best bet.
Renfro, back to him. Now let's look at this versus Brandon Cooks. Suddy in the chat here.
Renfro versus Brandon Cooks. I would play Brandon Cooks, but I don't feel very confident in Brandon Cooks. But I would definitely play him over Renfro. I think he has more upside.
Yeah. Well, the volume is always going to be there for Cooks.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. No matter who the quarterback is, no matter what the situation is, we know that he's their best guy. So they're not going to not throw to him. Let's see. Rolando on the chat for you, Nick. Full PPR, Rondale Moore or Cole Beasley?
Rondale Moore or Cole Beasley. I would go with Rondale Moore. Cole Beasley has been an absolute dumpster fire recently. I mean, he's not the number 2 guy there anymore. It's clearly Emmanuel Sanders. So I'm kind of fading away from Cole Beasley. Now that I say that, right, he's going to have his big game. But
watch out.
I'd rather play Rondale Moore. They're both very risky, though.
Yeah, you're talking about 2 guys in completely different means to the same end of just being volatile. Solomon, would anyone else play Moss over Julio, OBJ, or Patrick?
Oh, I would.
Do you like Moss over any of those guys? Let's start there.
I would play Moss over all of them, to be honest. I don't.
Really?
It was OBJ.
Well, you already mentioned Julio. Yeah. What about OBJ as far as where you see him?
OBJ, he's been bad recently. And now with Jarvis Landry back, how can you expect him to be any better? And then when you're kind of looking at the other guys, you got Collins. Collins is a guy that I'm pretty comfortable with, but I would rather play Moss over him. And then Julio, again, we're kind of off the deep end on him up against the Bills. I don't think that's a worthy start. And then Patrick is a guy that I'm also not uber confident in this week. I think Patrick has some upside. I think he's in one of my DFS lineups, so I could easily see him scoring, but he's not a guy that I'm super high on. I'd rather just go with Moss, and we might really just see them trounce the Tennessee Titans just by running the ball a lot too, deeper down the stretch. So that's kind of my lean on that.
How about this real quick? Cowboys or Steelers D this week?
I would play the Cowboys defense.
Mixon or Cook? I think you kind of have to go Dalvin Cook, right? Even I can get that one right?
Yeah, no, you have to play Dalvin Cook. I think you're in a bad scenario if you sit Dalvin Cook.
I'm seeing if we missed a couple of here snuck in. A lot of people have just been responding to the unfortunate ending, of course, of London. We're going to try to land this plane a little bit better than the Dolphins, if that's possible here.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to say something. I was going to make a joke.
Herbert. What's that?
I said I was going to make a joke that was messed up. I can't say that.
No. All right. How about this? We talked about Jacobs a lot. Really, Williams was the guy who got a lot of love here. But as far as, most of the start sits surrounding wide receivers and the two, again, Kyler or Terry. Yeah, I mean, looking at that, we answered a bunch with Kyler Murray. How about this? Odell or Kadarius Toney?
I would go with Kadarius Toney. There is no way I'm playing Odell
at all today. You've been out on him.
Yeah, I'm out on Odell. I'm done with Odell. There's no way you want to be playing Odell Beckham Jr. at this point. Maybe when he proves it to me, then I'll be, holy shit, let's play Odell. But until then, just especially with Jarvis back, I don't trust it at all.
How about Julio or Kadarius Toney?
Julio or Kadarius Toney? I'm playing Kadarius Toney. I think Kadarius Toney is going to be very involved in this offense, and I think a lot of people are going to be pretty surprised with Shepard and Slayton back.
Herbert or Murray?
Herbert or Murray? I'm playing Murray. But, oh, nope, I'm lying. I'm playing Herbert. I love that game. I need to bet the over on that game to recuperate my money for this failure.
Patrick Moss. All right, we'll wind down here. Patrick Moss, Julio. I'm going to take OBJ out.
Ooh.
All right, let's do this. Patrick Moss, Julio, Alex Collins. Pick two.
I'm going Collins and I'm going Moss. And I don't even trust Collins all that much. I just think that with Carson out, they're just going to feed him the rock. You just have to assume that.
Mixon, Hunt, Woods. Let's pick one.
Mixon, Hunt, or Woods. I am going Hunt, even banged up. I think he has a great game.
You like Woods this week? Where do you have Robert Woods ranked? I'm curious how much of it was reactionary versus how much do you believe that this guy's actually back now?
Well, I believed he was back last week, and I ranked him very high last week. He's my receiver 20 this week. I bumped him down a little bit because I feel like now that game they fully committed to him, right? They were just throwing the ball to him left and right. I think maybe things changed this week, but I still do expect him to have a very solid game.
All right, my friend. We have covered as many bases as possible. You got to see your squad lose, and you maintain composure, which I think is the most impressive thing that's happened all day today. Congratulations. I know it's not a win. I know it's not a moral victory. I know you lost money there as well, but watching your team fall the way in which they did and not throw anything, not rage quit the stream, I'm very impressed, Nick. I can't say I would have done the same if it were the Eagles.
No, honestly, the fact that it was that close, it made it feel even worse. Like if the Dolphins were getting blown out, I don't even think I would have had a reaction. I would have just been like, whatever, let's stop watching the game. But the fact that it was even close makes it hurt even more.
Oh, my goodness.
It is whatever.
At Notorious FNTSY on Twitter, at Shander Show for me. Thanks to Mike. Awesome, as you see him and know him in the chat here. Great job producing. I know that there was a lot of things happening here that you were dealing with both of us, from my kid to Nick's kid, his Miami Dolphins. It's not easy by all means, but great job. Exactly. Thanks to the chat as well. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't on your way out. And please make sure you're subscribed by all means. Have a great day and good luck to everybody out there.
Good luck, everyone. Hopefully your day is better than the Dolphins.